So you all remember this, right? Well, I mean, maybe not. Not a lot of you watched that video, but for those of you that did, that was one of the coolest things that I've ever done in my entire life. No, I'm not kidding. I had so much fun between wrangling this massive wild animal to just kind of hanging out with 4 other like-minded guys talking about how cool it was. This was incredible, and I wanted to do it again. So when I found myself stuck in Chicago, Illinois over the holiday season, I decided, why not drive down to South Florida for a week to see if I can't find another Burmese python? Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? And so I embarked, myself and 3 of my good friends, on a 22-hour-long road trip with no stops from Chicago, Illinois to Homestead, Florida. Funny story, at a gas stop in Central Florida, I ran into our first significant animal, a pseudomyrmex male, in late December. I guess that just goes to show that winter isn't real in Florida, and if you think it is, you're wrong. Anyhow, despite the grueling drive and the fact that I slept maybe 2 hours during the entire course of it, we did in fact make it in one piece. And shortly after night fell, I decided to go outside and look for some animals while I had the time. How very fitting that both of them ended up being invasive species. So we have a reptile, and gecko. This is probably a Hemidactylus species, which are Asian and Mediterranean geckos, because, I mean, every freaking reptile is invasive in South Florida, especially all the lizards. But hey, I mean, that's... Considering that no one was even planning on going out tonight, we'll take it. The next day, we set out to do some day hiking, just to enjoy the scenery and have a chance of seeing some stuff. Unfortunately for me, I once again didn't get any sleep because I caught a little bit of a sickness and just couldn't sleep with it. So I'm sure that throughout today's adventures, and into the night, I'll be in my best shape, right? Well, would you believe it if I told you that just barely an hour into road cruising that night, we found this? Not bad, our first alive cruised herp. I actually don't know what kind of turtle this is, whether it's like a box turtle or no, I think it's a slider of some kind. I'll figure out later what type of turtle this is, but he's pretty cool. Little guy. He was out of his shell, and then we kind of messed with him a little bit, so now he's in his shell. We're just gonna help him across the road and keep going. Okay, yeah, you'd probably believe that. But what about this?
On everything I've said,
I cannot believe that Sam called that the first snake we were gonna find was the python. That's insane.
It admittedly took a little bit of time for my sick, sleep-deprived self to figure out how this shirt-grabbing method worked, but hey, thanks for those guys that we ran into this summer for the tip on how to catch these pythons without getting bit, like I did last time.
Oh! Are you good?
If he turns around to try and bite you, just fucking...
I did thankfully figure it out eventually.
Go.
Dude, you want me to drop him? Yeah, okay.
How many feet do you think this is?
Like, probably almost 5. That is so cool. I cannot believe that. That's actually ridiculous.
I feel we should just cruise at night.
Yeah, we're staying out. That add another hour to our cruise.
God, dude, I'm shaking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might not have been quite as monstrous as the one we caught this summer, and it certainly didn't take as much work, but that didn't make it any less special. And, let me tell you, it felt really good to hit our main target right away. It meant we could relax and just have fun for the whole rest of the trip, not worrying about whether or not we were gonna succeed.
Dude, okay, my voice is like completely shot because I'm kind of ever so slightly sick. And yet somehow our first live snake is not only a python, but honestly not a terribly tiny one either. Especially now that we're here in December, there's going to be this year's babies out. And so we're talking probably 3 feet for those by now. But I would estimate this is last year's baby. So this is probably a two or year and a half old python. That's probably about 5 feet long. But they're also just so thick. Like, it's just a substantial animal. And they're so beautiful, the way they just glow. That's incredible. I can't believe that was the first snake. It took us 20-something hours of cruising last time. This time, night cruising, an hour, not even. That's awesome. There's no way. So, we have another live snake. Not quite as exciting as the last, but this is a mangrove salt marsh snake, I'm pretty sure. It's definitely a water snake. Whether or not it's my species level identification is correct is gonna be figured out later. But I'm just surprised that he's not absolutely lighting me up, because Nerodia, aka water snakes, are extremely bitey normally. But I'm not complaining. I don't really want to be lit up by him, so, you know, we're winning. Look at his pretty underbelly. It's like all patterned. Poor friend. Here we have on this little boardwalk, because we're not finding any more snakes tonight, a neotropical huntsman. I think that's what it is. Huntsman spider. I think it's the neotropical variety. And these are cool because this is the same genus as the giant, disgusting, huge huntsman in Australia, the ones that they're famous for, but these don't get nearly as big. I don't think this one is full grown, but this definitely reminds me of when I was finding them in Australia on a boardwalk much like this. Pretty neat. I'm kind of surprised that it took this long, but we have our first and a very chunky cottonmouth. I mean, we have seen like 2 roadkills up till now, but it feels good, you know? It feels like meeting an old friend again. We saw so many of these last time that, honestly, I was kind of hoping for one. It's like, where have they been? I miss them. Super awesome. Very big.
After an unbelievably successful first night, we headed to Loop Road for our second night, a spot that's well renowned by Florida herpers. Except when we went there last summer, we really didn't find anything too special, so while I'm excited to give it another shot, I also don't have particularly high hopes.
No, he's gonna be fine. So here's a cottonmouth that I accidentally clipped. You can see where his tail is all sandy, where I accidentally ran over the tip of his tail. But especially, it's a male, so you can see he's got a really long tail, and his, vent is sort of at the tip there. And so as long as, which I'm pretty sure, as long as I didn't hit his vent, he's gonna be all right. And honestly, now that I look at it, I don't even know if that blood is from me. Because his head is a little bit messed up, but he looks pretty fine to me, so I think he'll be all right. But I'm glad to just get something on the night. He's kind of sidewinding. What are you doing there, bud? You're not supposed to do that.
Looking back on it, I am definitely not the one that injured that cottonmouth. I am definitely good enough at road cruising to not run snakes over. Still though, Loop Road only provided a couple alligators and 1 cottonmouth, so I'm a certified Loop Road hater now. I've given it a fair shot and it has not provided. So we'll be sticking to Everglades National Park for the rest of the trip, where most of our luck was this past summer, and where we've had good luck on our first night.
So this is kind of crazy and very much unexpected. These are Solenopsis geminata in the Everglades, which, I mean, look at that major. That is super cool. You do not expect to find anything but Invicta in like super swampy habitat like this. So seeing geminata is pretty awesome. Look at that. Their majors are so cool. Especially with these mounds, like I 100% expected this to be Invicta under this here log, but evidently not. How very cool.
Finding one of my favorite Floridian ants in an unexpected spot was a great start to the day. But what was even better was getting up nice and close and personal with an American crocodile, the famous alligator's much bigger and cooler cousin.
Oh, there he is.
So far, we're off to a great start, and tonight's looking pretty good, although it will end up being our last night of good cruising. Let's hope we can make it count.
So, we have a yellow rat snake. I'm very happy to see. We saw one last time we were here in the summer, but we weren't actually the ones to find it. And so being the ones to find one this time is quite nice. These are absolutely beautiful, and as you can see, he gave me a kiss on my hand there. That was not fun. Not the worst. The python bite of last summer was much worse, but this Pantherophis, this genus, are known to be a little bit spicy. But here, if you want to get a little bit closer in on him, he is beautiful, just absolutely shimmering. Nice yellow underbelly. I mean, I love these things, and he's going for it. I don't know if you saw his open mouth there. That's a beautiful snake, though. I really love those guys, even if they're little assholes. Get out of here. Go on, get.
We're rolling.
Can someone take this flashlight? He's.
Oh. He don't like you.
No, they aren't mean. I'm just surprised he hasn't picked up a storm on me.
I'll fix it. You walk back like 5 feet.
He spit up water to try and be defensive. There we go. Jeez, that thing is huge. Look at that. What a monster. Look at that absolute monster. Jeez.
Doesn't like good.
So, yeah, so this,
Yeah.
well, I guess cameraman, but
It's perfect.
this is a Florida green water snake who I've got by the neck because they're very mean. And I don't know if you want to zoom out on his eyes there. His eyes are like right on the top of his head, really close together. Almost like a gator's eyes, where they are basically designed to poke out of the water along with their nose. So they have just this like raised section on the front of their head, so just their eyes and their nose will pop out of the water. But he actually matches my greenish boots pretty well. So the name, Florida green water snake does match up. And this is probably near as big as they get. They are a large water snake species that I'm happy to see. And this actually makes our snakiest night so far with 4 live snakes, which is, I mean, that's not a ton, but especially 4 different species, I'm not going to be complaining.
Now that Florida green water snake ended up being our last snake of the trip. I didn't show you every snake from that night because we had a repeat with a cottonmouth and a banded water snake. But I'm not gonna complain. It was not nearly as snaky as this summer, where we were getting almost 20 snakes a night on good nights, even if it was mostly cottonmouths. But we drove to Florida to find a python, and we found a python, so I better not hear any complainers. All in all, it was a super fun trip, and as always, I'm very happy to be able to share it with everyone. So thank you all very much for watching, and have a good one.